So joining me today is Thuli Magubane, better known as Money Tools. She is many things, well accomplished, and I'll give her a chance to just take us through her own resume. But one of the things that I know about her is that when it comes to personal finance, she's the person to speak to. Is a broadcaster, is a facilitator, is an entrepreneur herself, so she's faced all the challenges that come with entrepreneurship, and I suppose also the personal finance challenges that come with entrepreneurship.
Of course.
And we just thought, come through, let's sit down, have a chat, and be honest and frank about this entrepreneurial journey. Thuli, welcome to Platform 63.
Okay, thank you, Katleho, for inviting me and having me. So I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, I am an entrepreneur myself. I think personal finance, it's personal. So whether you're an entrepreneur or just working or even unemployed, it's still an issue that you have to deal with.
It definitely is an issue.
And I've dealt with all of those stages where I was unemployed, I was employed, then decided to go the entrepreneurship route. So, I've had different phases in my life, and money has been an issue, and I had to learn, the hard way.
The hard way.
If you have to say, made mistakes along the way.
But okay, so for somebody who's watching this doesn't necessarily know who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people might have known you from your work in radio over the years, hosting My Money and Me on KFM and platforms like that. Let's take it back to the beginning. So from what you studied, how you then got into entrepreneurship, and what qualifies you to speak on personal finance.
Okay. So, taking it all the way back, I definitely did not study any commerce subjects
Get that out of the way.
In my undergrad. I actually did politics, did international politics. I wanted to be a diplomat. Who knows? I might still end up there.
Hey.
You never know where life takes you. And got into management consulting. And even when I got into consulting, I didn't even know what management consultants do when I applied for the job. But I managed to get the job, and maybe 3 months into the job, I realized that I love consulting, that this is what I was born to do.
Yeah.
And so it found me, consulting found me. So, I didn't go looking for it. And I've been a consultant for most of my life, and my career started in 2001, so it's almost 20 years. And also in that time, I managed to spend about 5 years in my life in banking, so I decided to go the banking route.
Okay.
Whereas in consulting as well, got a chance to work on corporate finance. So I did management consulting and corporate finance. So that's when I kind of got introduced to finance. Literally at work, you put on a corporate finance project and you're like, what? I didn't study finance. And so I had to learn a lot of things on the job, you know. I had colleagues teaching me, but also just being curious, learning on my own. And that's when I decided to do a PDM, just to get a bit of a commerce background in FITS. And then, most of the stuff I know about finance and stuff, it's literally stuff I learned on the job, working on like corporate finance projects, and then moving into banking. And so obviously having to hone my skills around finance, financial modeling, and just, getting into grips with various concepts and stuff. But the personal finance, even though I was a banker, I remember when I left Investec in 2009, I had like 4 credit cards.
You see, that's what I want to talk about. I actually want to talk about the reality of that.
I had 4 credit cards, and you should think to yourself, as a banker, you should know
better, right? Yeah.
But I think it was just being young and people just throwing credit cards at you, I think the law has changed a lot. People would like pre-qualify you, and next thing you're getting I remember one time I got a Virgin credit card delivered to me at my office. I didn't even apply for it.
And it plays with the ego, right?
Yes.
Because I think a part of it is that you become a professional, and as soon as you become a professional and you have that title, the world opens up.
Yes.
They come and show you all the cards, they want to show you all the cards. And because we're human, because that's what I actually want to speak about, the human part of this money journey. We respond a certain way based on whatever conditioning we have as well. So I just thought I'd pick up on that. Anyway,
so true. So obviously I made some of those mistakes, and I think some of the biggest lessons were in that transitioning journey. When I'd left Investec, initially the plan was not to start a company. I knew at some point I want to start my own business, but at that point I still was looking for employment, and I think about 20 interviews later I realized maybe I'm not meant to be employed.
Yeah, like I don't have that patience.
So that's when I decided, let's just pursue this entrepreneurship journey. And when I first started, it was selling some shoes. I wanted to, import ladies' lingerie from various places, but mainly to sell to the Edcons or the Foschini group. So managed to set up appointments, got samples from producers in Israel, actually. That was some of the best quality that I got. And the company was also doing same underwear for Victoria's Secret people.
Oh, okay.
Victoria's Secret, so it was the same factory. So it had great and good
Between you
quality.
and I wouldn't have expected that to come from Israel, to be honest.
Really?
Of all the places, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it comes from Israel. So, took my merchandise to different people in these companies, but it all came down to price. We could not agree on the price, and although they liked the quality, they were used to importing from China at a much lower price point. And obviously, for it to make business sense, I wasn't going to be able to sell it at those price points. So that kind of got thrown by the wayside, that idea, and then I found myself back into consulting, and it was just a friend of mine who needed consulting services in his company. He's like, weren't you in consulting? I was like, yes. And he's like, okay, I need this work done. And so did the work for him, and then I decided to register Minfresh, and the rest is history.
A lot of your work in your current business, Minfresh, right, is with entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Maybe just give us a background, or at least, I don't know if it's an assessment that you've done, but in your experience, what kind of relationships do entrepreneurs typically have with money?
Complicated.
Okay. It's an entanglement with money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs have entanglements with money.
Okay.
And some people have almost a love-hate relationship with money.
Talk to me about that. What does that mean, one, and what kind of love-hate relationship?
So people would say I got into entrepreneurship because I want to make money.
Sure.
I want to be my own boss. But then at the same time, the hate part comes in the way they manage money, the attitudes towards money, and their beliefs around money. So that's the hate part. So that's why I say it's a love-hate relationship, that it really takes a long time to work through your mindset, because and I think especially for us people of color, not everybody had the benefit of being taught by their parents or the family about just the basics of financial management. So you literally had to make mistakes. I'm not gonna.
I think that one is loud.
Close the door.
Yeah.
Are we gonna survive?
No, it's hot.
Yeah.
So let's wait for that.
Let's pick it up after.
What was that?
I was trying to speak through that squad.
It was the hand stuff in the bathroom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
I think that's.
So pick it up for what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop people from calling your bathroom.
At the same time, can we just take the masks off the table?
Oh, really?
Oh,
Just to.
but now continuity. Okay, we take it off whilst we're talking. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's alright.
Okay. No, people will see we were responsible.
Yes.
We
We
had
were
our
wearing
masks.
them, they were there in the vicinity. We're still fine with audio levels and everything, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you please, just to be double sure, there's some programming, right? Please press record. There should be a record button there.
Which one? The stop
I know,
record?
yeah, that desk you don't use often. The other one is easier. There
Stop record.
Yeah, so record. Just press record on that one. Just,
Press it.
okay. Is the record light on?
Don't tell me, we haven't been recording all this while?
No, we have. I'm recording audio there and I'm recording it there. I just don't want to.
Ah.
I've had a situation where we recorded a whole lot of video and then
Wait,
it was
no,
not yeah, I know. You pressed it, you good, man?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I don't see any light.
It's not blinking, nothing.
Next.
Okay, it's fine. At least we're recording here.
Okay.
Unless we end up, but you
I've
will still
got
capture
it
it
as well,
audio.
yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
this one is obviously going to come from the mic, so it's going to be closer and richer.
Yeah.
Mm.
So anyway, okay. Can I was asking?
What do you mean by the love-hate relationship?
Oh, okay, cool. So the love-hate relationship, I want you to kind of break that down. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so basically, I believe a lot of entrepreneurs, when they get into business, they get in because they want to make money.
Sure.
So, so to a certain degree, there is that love of money. That's why I'm going into this. I want to make money. And then the hate part comes in terms of how people manage their finances, both personal finance and their business finances, and then also just attitudes and beliefs about money. And I believe that people need to go through some kind of mindset change in order to be able to, firstly to create wealth and to maintain wealth. It's easy. I mean, people get tenders. I can get 50 million now. And then a year later,
show up at your house.
Yes, but the thing is, it could be a year later, or even under a year, I've blown that entire 50 million.
Let's pause there. Let's actually dive deeper into that. When you say people's mindset around money, that's what I'm getting. You're saying that there's a mindset that we need to have around money.
Yes.
Firstly, what mindset do we have now? And I know we're generalizing, right? Typically, entrepreneurs, what kind of mindset do they have? You said complicated. But what should the paradigm shift then be? And how do we do it? How do we move from where we are to?
So basically, the important thing is to get to a place where you realize that money, firstly, is not a limited commodity. Because sometimes there's also a belief that money is finite.
That scarcity mindset.
Yes, it's a scarcity mindset that if I have more money, that means other people have less, and which is not the case. I believe that money should be looked at almost like a river. I've used this analogy before. If you think about a river can flow through many regions and villages and cities until it gets to the ocean. And along the way, no one ever says, if I go and put in my bucket in the river, there'll be less
the river
water.
Will dry out.
Yes, and there'll be less water for other people. And so if you look at money that way, that even if I go in and get mine, it doesn't mean there's less money out there in the world. So that's the first thing. So you must just have that abundance mindset that there's more than enough money out there in the world for myself and everyone else.
Like as you say that, and I'm self-reflecting, right? My issue had always been that whilst there might be enough out there, I didn't always believe that I deserved a portion of it, right? So, and how that showed up in both my personal finance and in the business was that at some other level, I would sabotage myself financially.
Yes, so we'll get into that. That speaks to the hate part.
Okay.
So if you are firstly think about that, there's the abundance mindset, and then the other thing that's important about entrepreneurs to realize when it comes to money, it's really about creating value. In whatever you're doing, whatever product or service that you offer, you need to be creating value for your customers. And as long as you continue creating value, you will make money. If people don't see value in what you're doing, they're not going to pay you for it.
For a South African, and I speak, and I stand to be corrected, this is just very much an opinion comment, right? In my experience, having worked with a number of entrepreneurs over the years, one of the things that I think we have as a psychology in South African entrepreneurship is the idea that an entitlement almost. So we don't operate from a place of let me create value. We operate from I'm owed a grant or whatever the case might be. And I can't help but echo what you're saying. Cut. Who's going to have that awkward conversation? I think maybe closing the door might be a good idea. I think so. If we think we'll...
Because we can hear her, everything that's coming out of her bed onto the table.
Shame.
She looks angry.
Yes.
I don't want to piss her off someone.
I can hear you guys talking about it, but I still don't care. Okay, let's pick it up.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying about
value.
Value. Sorry. I like what you're saying about value, and I think in the South African context, it's a very important thing to remind entrepreneurs that for you to transact, for you to end up receiving money, you must have given value.
Yes.
We seem to have the psychology that we are owed some sort of, Messiah is going to come from the sky and pull us from where we are. But the reality is, if your business doesn't give value to somebody, nobody's going to be willing to pay. And I like the fact that you spoke to that.
So, I mean, there's an entitlement mindset that I've come across with certain entrepreneurs. People, especially when it comes to funding, so funding obviously is related to money, that people feel like they should just be given money. I'm I'm young, I'm black, I've got an idea, you must just give me money. So whether your idea is viable or not, do you actually have the skills to manage this enterprise? Are you able to take that idea into the market? How are you going to do it? Some of those questions are not answered, but I want money. So, but that's another conversation for
it's
another,
a whole other episode.
Yes, for another time. So so you need to be able to create value as an entrepreneur, make the money, and once you've made the money, you need to get to a place, especially if you're running a small business, you don't have the luxury of a pension fund or provident fund that's provided by your employer. So another thing that people tend to forget about is just your own retirement planning. What is your retirement plan? Because people never actually think about that. I'm here, I'm starting this business, I'm running with it, and never really think about what would happen in the future.
I'm going to argue otherwise, and purely on the basis of we think about it, but I don't think the way we think about it is how we should be thinking about it. Because I think most entrepreneurs think, I'm going to start this business, it's going to make lots of money, that's my retirement plan. So I'm either going to exit by selling it, right, or it's going to be churning out so much cash flow.
But the thing is, not everyone, I've asked people point blank, would you sell your business? And a lot say no. And I ask them why. Because it's my baby.
Oh.
And that's the response you get, it's my baby, I created this. When I leave, my children must take over my business.
Okay, I understand the legacy part of the conversation. But I mean, at some point there must be an exit strategy. There must be something.
But the thing is, what I found is people, when they start the business, don't think about the exit. And I think, as I say, you must always start with the end in mind. What do you want to achieve with this business? And that's where it comes to, you know, what vision you have for your business, the strategy you develop to get there and all of that. So most entrepreneurs, unfortunately, in South Africa, especially young black entrepreneurs, become entrepreneurs as a matter of lack of options, if I could call it that. I'm unemployed, I've got this degree, I'm sitting at home.
Government says I should be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I might just as well do something, you know. And then some people start businesses, but they remain at like a survival mode. They become survivalist entrepreneurs, and it's mainly from hand to mouth. And so with that, so if you think about that with your personal finance, I come across people who say, well, I've started this business, but my business can't even afford to pay me a salary. I was like, that's great. I mean, when you start a business, it may not be able to pay you a salary, but you need to be able to determine how much do you need in terms of your living expenses. And when you start, you have to scale down. That's the reality. When you become an entrepreneur, the best thing to do for yourself, so if you're lucky enough and you were employed before you start the business, start saving up money. So have almost 12 months worth of living expenses saved up. So at least you know that for that first year in business, even if my company is not bringing in any money, at least I can still live.
I can survive,
So that's if you're going into it like, planning properly. And also with that savings as well. So don't think that you're going to live at the same level that you were when you're earning a salary. And every 25th of the month an SMS comes in, and halala, it's payday.
Everything's great. Drinks on me.
So exactly. So when you're an entrepreneur, there will be no payday. So the best thing is to basically scale down. So if it means getting a roommate, if you're living in your own place, maybe you have a 2 or 3 bedroom place, maybe get a roommate, can share the rent, or maybe even leaving the place, moving back home, and not having to pay rent.
When you're saying that, the one thing that's going through my head is I wish this conversation was being had more.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time when we talk about finance, we seem to have it as a separate conversation from the emotions and the psychology that money and psychology and emotions, you can't separate them.
True.
And I suspect that there are people who are watching or listening to this and are going, you want me to move back home?
Yes.
So, and that's because moving back home has a
Ego.
meaning for them. Yeah. So the ego's like, no, I'm not doing that.
No,
right?
It might mean moving back home, scaling down even the car that you have. If your car is financed and you're paying whatever, it might mean maybe selling that car and buying a much cheaper car that's paid off, so you don't have those expenses. In insurance on a smaller, older car would probably be lower than what you're paying on your luxury German
machine.
Machines. So it's thinking about that. How can I reduce all my living expenses? But obviously, you still want to be able to invest in certain things. You need to have a good computer. Maybe a printer at home, having Wi-Fi. So some of those things you don't want to compromise on. because those are the tools that might assist you to start your business. Or you could be doing something along manufacturing, so you need to find a space somewhere where you're going to start your business, maybe somebody's garage or stuff like that. So you really need to contain costs, both your own personal costs and expenses and the business costs as much as possible at the beginning. And guess what? As the business grows and it can afford to pay you a salary, you might end up getting to the place where you were maybe before you started the business, and even better.
Yeah.
And only at that point then can you start maybe scaling up your lifestyle. But also, I think one of the things I've learned is that when I get money into the business, I want to stretch it as much as possible. So I'm always thinking a couple of months ahead in terms of money's coming in. And I'm worried already about 3 months down the line. And if I'm worried about that, then I can try and see what can I do now, so that if I know that 3 months down the line there's going to be a cash flow crunch.
For me, that speaks to what you said when you actually started. That your relationship with money, it's how you define money. So in saying that, in my head, I'm going, money is time. Money is how long can I keep things going at the current level at which it is. Just based on what you're saying, that you're thinking about 3 months from now, R1 million equates to how much time do we have to be able to operate.
Yes, yeah. So it's about so constantly thinking about that. So I guess if you think about it in your business, it should be the same as well in your own personal life. How much money do I have to pay for my living expenses? If the business was not generating an income and not able to pay me, how long can I survive without getting an income? So you need to be able to answer those questions. How long can I survive without an income? And the only way you can answer that is if you know you have a backup plan. You've got some savings, and you should save both on a personal level and a business level. And I find sometimes people don't save on their business level. I know for me, I normally put money at least in a money market account. At least that's the basic. It's earning interest. So instead of the money just sitting in a check account and earning no interest, I put it in a money market account so that it's earning some kind of interest. And then when I need it, I can just move money into the account, whatever I need. If I need to pay rent, pay the salaries, you only need that much money in your bank account. It doesn't have, maybe some people like seeing a nice big balance.
It feels nice.
Every time they go and look at their, their internet banking, oh wow, my bank account is looking healthy. But it's not earning interest, so it's lazy money. And, financial people call it lazy money. You can't have money just sitting. So for me, it sits as a minimum. So some will sit so depending on how much money is there and how much we need, some will be in a money market account, some could be in a 30-day account, which will earn even more interest. So because if you're planning ahead, you know that, okay, I need to be able to request that money to be released so that I have it available.
30 days salary.
Yeah, a kind of thing. So even looking at that, and obviously depending on how much cash flow you have, you can also start investing in other opportunities as your business. So that's money you're not gonna need now, because investing is more long term. So whereas in times like we've had with the lockdown, if you didn't have those various savings vehicles for your business, and if you're not able to operate, some people closed down because obviously no cash flow.
Can't pay over it.
A business has to close. So it's related. It's almost how you run your business finances. It's almost reflected by how you manage your own personal finance. If you lax with your own personal finances, you might be lax as well with your business finances.
Which is probably informed by a belief system behind the
Yes,
personal finances. So I'm thinking we are coming out of lockdown. Hopefully we're going to stay out of it. Right?
Yes. So I think we need to tell, because one of the things I did want to include in this conversation is like a comeback plan.
Okay. Actually, in fact, let's dive into that.
Yeah.
Because there are people sitting now going, ooh, just so 2021 is going to be rough. A lot of people are concerned. How do we come out of this? How do we come out of this irrespective of the level at which we've been impacted financially?
So basically you might have found yourself having to dig into your savings, which I have, over the lockdown period, because my business was not able to operate. And so right now, at least we've started operating again, and some people are finding themselves in that place where I'm able to start operating again. Maybe not at full capacity, but at least I'm getting some money coming
That
in.
wheel is turning slowly, yeah.
So the first thing you need to do is maybe take stock. It might seem like an obvious thing to do. Where am I right now? What has the damage been? Sometimes some people are too scared to actually look what the real damage is. It's almost getting into a scale. If you've had
so many numbers.
if you've had a weekend and you know that you've overdone it, and then it's like Monday morning, do I even want to climb on that scale because I don't want to see what the scale is gonna say, because I know that I've overindulged. So sometimes it's like that with our finances as well. Sometimes we don't want to take a closer look just to see what is the real damage, because we're scared of what we're going to find. So for me, is get into that space, find out what the real state of your own business is, or even in your own personal finances, what has the damage been. And so once you have an understanding of that, the next stage would be, okay, let's plan how am I going to get myself out of this situation to a point where I'm comfortable again, and hopefully to a point where I can basically increase my reserves again, because obviously people had to use their reserves, so you need to be able to replenish that. So
for those that had reserves.
If you had reserves, yes, because if you had no reserves, literally you might have lost your business, and you're finding yourself maybe having to start from scratch. And and also this is a great time to pivot, because you need to ask yourself, what my business model, is it still relevant in this economy?
In this post-COVID economy.
Yes, and it might mean maybe having to do business differently as you come back, or it might even mean looking at other opportunities. Forget the business you were in previously. And some people have actually made money during lockdown. Surprisingly, yesterday I was chatting to a lady. Her company does fiber installations, and she's saying they've had a boom because people are now working from home, and they need to have secure and reliable internet at home. So her business has boomed over this lockdown period. But then I guess where she's at is like, how do I maintain the momentum? It's good to have a boom, and once people have the fiber, where's the next market kind of thing. So so put a plan in place in terms of your comeback strategy. Am I staying in this business? Can I revive the business? If you can, what are the steps that I need to take to revive the business? Is it a matter of calling up old clients and seeing if you can do some work for them? Is it finding new clients? And what's happening in the market? Are people procuring your services or your product? And if it's not, it might mean having that conversation. Okay, my business is dead. It means maybe I need to start from scratch. And the conversation we had earlier in terms of some of the things you need to do when you start, maybe you can start doing them now.
Because you're starting again. Get it right from the beginning.
So now maybe you are forced to scale down because you've got no other choice. You need to move back home. You need to let go of that car, whatever it might be, and then start from scratch and build your business up that way. And also this is a good time, even if you don't have knowledge whether running the business properly or even personal finance, this is a great time to get the knowledge and the skills. So if you're sitting at home and you are lucky enough maybe to have Wi-Fi, you're watching this podcast, so it means you can spend time going to YouTube, watching videos around personal finance, reading blogs, and just empowering yourself so that you have more tools and you're able to, so that when it does come in, it doesn't disappear again.
Flow right out again.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think this is also a time to basically empower yourself, both for your business and personally. And it might also, there's been a lot of free courses online. There's Coursera, there's Udemy, there's a couple of other international universities that have been offering free education during this time of the lockdown. So if it means upskilling yourself during this time so that you're able to get into a new business, that could be something that's worth doing, investing in yourself and investing in your business. Even if it means you're asking your employees as well to take up some of those courses so that everybody across the board is gaining new skills that you can use in restarting and rejigging your business. So that's some of the advice. And then the next thing, so it basically, all of that could be part of the plan. I need to get a new skill, all of that, I need to find new clients, maybe start a new business. And once you have that plan in place, then you need to start saying, okay, how am I going to implement it? So it doesn't help just having a plan. You need to look at how you're going to implement it, maybe even on a weekly basis. And I'd advise people also get an accountability partner, if you can call it that, or anyone that you can discuss your plan with and become accountable to them in terms of how you're doing to implement it. Because I know as entrepreneurs you need to be self-motivated. So for the most part you can push yourself. But if you're coming out of a rough patch, it helps to have someone that's walking the journey with you, encouraging you along the way, and just making sure that you're kept accountable. Sometimes you may not be in the right frame of mind, like this week, all I want to do is just stay in bed
It's been raining all week, so
and not face the world. It's fine if that's how you feel this week.
Yeah.
Go through the emotions, feel the emotions, but obviously you can't stay there. So if this week was like, let's try and see if we can have a better week next week. But you can't have those weeks consistently. You're not gonna get anywhere.
Yeah.
Or even during the week, if you have that off day and you're like, oh no, today I just don't have the energy. Allow yourself to feel those emotions and go through that. But the important thing is getting up and taking action. And then lastly, what you must have in your plan as well are the goals. So in terms of what is my goal? So if my goal is literally to get one client so that I can build, by when? So have at least deadlines and timelines to your plan. Don't just say, I need to get new clients. Great. How many? By when? And if you're able to put timelines and deadlines, it pushes you as well to be able to take action. And so going through that, and you need to be also mindful, how long is that recovery plan? Am I going to be in recovery mode for 6 months? Is it 12 months? Is it 24 months? And just be realistic based on that assessment you did beforehand. If it's really bad, it might mean it's a 24 months or 36 months recovery plan before you get to where you were before COVID. So that's another thing. People need to be realistic in terms of where they're at. And lastly, what I want to say is, don't take in all the negative news. You know, as an entrepreneur, one of the things that you need to have to succeed is optimism. You need to remain optimistic. And so if you're hearing the news and you're hearing that South Africa's economy has contracted by 12%, it's going to take us so long to recover, the economy is bad, this is this and all of that. So the more you take that in and internalize it, obviously it's going to affect you and your own mindset. So for me, it's like just disregard all of that negativity. Obviously you can't be oblivious. You can't be oblivious that it's happening, but don't let it almost paralyze you from moving forward and saying, what's the point? Everything is bad anyway. Because if you're an entrepreneur, you need to be optimistic. No one goes into business saying my business is going to fail.
It's going to fail, yeah.
I'm doing this because I'm going to... exactly. I'm developing these products and no one is going to buy them. What's the point of doing it? So everything we do as entrepreneurs, we need to have a positive outlook and mindset and be optimistic. People are going to buy my product. They're going to use my service.
But I think in being optimistic, be realistic as well. And how I mean it is, when the market is telling you this is not the market, maybe then pivot, move, like you said.
Yeah.
Don't just be sort of banging your head against a wall and hoping that things are just going to dramatically change. I think that's important because we do speak about resilience from an entrepreneurial perspective, but there must be intelligent resilience as well.
There needs to be, but as I said, you need to understand the context of where you're at, but at the same time, don't let the bad news get you down.
Demoralize you.
Exactly. So even, there are people in this market, they are making money. They're getting new contracts.
And believe it or not, they're not all doing PPE.
Yes, and they're getting new contracts.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean just because the market is down, it's down for everyone. So rather say I'll be the exception to the rule.
Sure.
Rather have that mindset than saying I'll be like everybody else, in the suffering with this economy. And I think some of the people who are doing well are probably the people who refuse to, have that mindset to say, okay, maybe I've been trying to, this year if there's one thing I spent a lot of time doing is proposals. Because there was time you're sitting at home, but also it's just taking a lot longer to convert some of those proposals into business. It might mean maybe revisiting them and saying, okay, maybe the client cannot afford to take up the entire suite of services that maybe I was offering to them, but can we start with something? Can we cut it down maybe for the first 6 months and then see as my client's business recovers and they're able to spend more money, then maybe they can take on more services. Because at the end of the day, you just want to get started, you want to get in and have some work.
I love how this episode, we build it as, a financial episode, but more than anything, it's been about the journey holistically speaking. Because I suppose you're never going to be able to separate finances from the rest of the story. Okay, so question, which kind of takes us on a bit of a, swings left a little.
Okay.
Which is, and we're wrapping it up now, right? My last question would be, when is a good time to tap out? When is a good time for you to say, I'm bleeding too much from a business perspective, I'm bleeding too much personally, financially, I need to go recoup, and then maybe I'll go back into business?
Yeah. I think it goes back to having a plan and setting those deadlines. So if you know how much money you have, you know how long your runway is. So if the money you have to keep you going is 6 months, if you're still at month 8 and things have not
it's probably a good time to start considering.
Yeah, so and also weigh your goals realistic in the first place. So maybe you were too optimistic. Maybe it's really to turn the corner is actually going to take 12 months, not 6 months that you initially thought. So you need to be able to get to a place where you're realistic to say, is this thing really going to turn the corner in 12 months? Or the way things are going, it's probably going to be longer than 12 months and I don't have that runway. And so so at that point, that's where you either you tap out or maybe you find someone who can come in, who you can sell your idea to and believes in you, can support you maybe until the business turns the corner. But you need to be able to sell it to them. If they're going to invest some money into your business, that they need to be able to be convinced as well that no, I can see it's taking longer, but definitely there's hope at the end of the tunnel. And it really depends what it is. If you're launching a new product and let's say you've had those letters of interest from different companies and stuff, and depending why is it taking longer, is it because a certain material that you're using for your product is not available, or the manufacturer is now out of business, now you have to find a new supplier. So there could be various factors in terms of what's delaying you turning the corner. So you need to have a proper understanding of what's causing the delay and how long would it take to change. Don't be so hell-bent to say, this is a great idea, people are going to buy it, I just need to keep marketing more or whatever. Because maybe you're marketing something that people don't need. Yeah. So that's when it's saying...
Listen to the market.
Yes, exactly. You really need to be realistic. And also, I've found, especially if you're coming with a new business, a new idea, you find a lot of cynics along the way. Those are actually your friends. Because the most cynical people might ask questions that you may not have asked in your enthusiasm and positivity.
And your yes men and yes women have not asked those questions either. Yeah.
So the people who are cynical can actually help you to basically further refine whatever offering you have or idea. So use some of those skeptics and cynics and get them to ask the tough questions. And if you get them to a point where they literally can't drill any more holes in your idea, then you know you're in a good place.
You've interrogated it as much as
Yes,
possible, I guess,
yeah.
at that point. Thank you so much, Thuli Magubane, Money Tools.
Thank you.
You can find her online on all the platforms, as far as
Yes.
I know. So, just so we don't leave this conversation just in the air, 2020 has been a year, you know, for all of us, including Donald Trump. But there have been some good, and some of those moments are private moments. What is the one moment in this year that you choose to celebrate?
I wouldn't say it's a moment per se. I think I just choose to celebrate my health and well-being. So Corona is not over, but thus far I've been safe. I've not caught it, you know. And mentally, I've managed to remain in a positive space. You know, some people have been depressed, and I've managed to keep, I guess, above that. So that's what I'm grateful for, that even during these tough times and things are very uncertain, I managed to keep a positive mindset and kept my well-being.
Well, yes.
Even if it meant drinking more wine and having more cakes.
Well, here's to more wine and more cakes and keeping mentally safe. Thank you so much.
Yeah.